Okay, so you guys have really flooded us with Web3 news this week.
Yeah.
Like, Bitcoin is all over the place.
Yeah.
Crypto whales are, making big moves.
Right.
We've even got some people making some pretty bold predictions about the future of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So let's break it all down.
Okay.
See if we can learn something this week.
Sounds good.
We are diving into Embleon.ai's weekly highlights this week.
All right.
Those guys always do an amazing job, finding the top 10 things you need to know about Web3.
Yeah, they do.
So what's got you buzzing this week?
Well, I think the contrast is really what jumps out at me.
Okay.
You've got some, classic crypto volatility.
Right.
Bitcoin dipping below $71,000 and $70,000
Whoa, in 1 week?
in 1 week.
Wow.
Ethereum also took a plunge below $2,500.
Yeah, I saw that.
But then at the same time,
Yeah.
you've got Polymarket setting record trading volume.
Really?
Yeah, through the roof.
Wow.
$2.282 billion.
That's wild. Okay, so those price dips you mentioned
Yeah.
definitely caught my eye too.
Mm.
It feels like every time I refresh the charts on my phone, it's like a whole new story.
Right.
So what factors could even be driving these drops?
Yeah.
Is this the start of a crypto crash?
I mean, it's never just one thing, right?
Right.
It's always this really fascinating mix of factors all pushing and pulling.
Yeah.
And right now, I think there's just a lot of macroeconomic uncertainty.
Like what kind of stuff?
Global events, inflation,
Right.
interest rates, it all plays a role.
Okay.
And then, on top of that, you've got sentiment within the crypto community itself.
Yeah.
And that can be just as influential.
Absolutely.
Remember that top trader
Yeah.
who said they're sitting on the sidelines until after the U.S. election?
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, that kind of hesitation
Right.
that can really send ripples throughout the entire market.
That's such a good point because, people think of crypto as like this,
Right.
it's its own thing separate from the world.
Yeah, in a vacuum.
Yeah. But it's not at all. Real world events definitely have a very real impact.
Absolutely. And speaking of impact, we got to talk about these whales
Okay.
making waves.
The whales. Yeah.
One is gobbling up 500 Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is dumping over 2,000.
Wild.
It's insane. For our listeners out there who might not be swimming with the whales just yet.
Right.
What does that term even mean in the crypto world?
Well, you can think of them as like the blue whales
Okay.
of the crypto ocean.
Okay.
So basically, a whale is an individual or an entity that holds a massive amount of cryptocurrency.
So like an actual whale.
Yeah, exactly.
Massive.
And just like their counterparts in the ocean, when they move, they create waves.
Right.
So a whale buying or selling huge amounts can really shift the tide, especially in a market
Oh, yeah.
as volatile as crypto.
For sure. Okay, so could these whales actually be contributing to those Bitcoin and Ethereum dips we're seeing?
It's definitely possible.
I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering when you look at them.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
We're talking about a $34.9 million purchase
What?
versus a $141.5 million sell-off.
Whoa.
That's
So
a huge difference.
big difference, but it's important to remember
Yeah.
that even though those sound like huge numbers,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually just a tiny little drop
Okay.
in the overall Bitcoin ocean.
Right.
You know what I think is more important than the actual numbers, though,
What's that?
is the sentiment
Okay.
that these moves could represent.
Interesting.
Is that whale selling because they're panicking,
Right.
or is it a calculated strategy?
Oh,
That's the real question.
that's a good question.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Right.
Okay, that really puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, let's ride this wave over to Polymarket now.
Okay.
You mentioned its record-breaking trading volume earlier,
I did.
which is super impressive considering that, other parts of the crypto world are seeing red right now. So first of all, can you just give our listeners a quick explainer on what Polymarket even is?
Sure.
And why it might be thriving in this kind of climate?
Yeah. So Polymarket is basically this really interesting platform.
Okay.
It's built on blockchain technology,
Hmm.
and it's what's called a decentralized prediction market.
Okay.
So imagine people placing bets,
Okay, I like this.
but not on, horses or sports,
Right.
but on future events.
Oh, interesting.
Like elections, economic indicators, or really anything you can think of.
Oh, okay.
And so this unique approach might actually be driving its success
In what way?
because it's not directly tied to the price of
Right.
specific
Yeah.
cryptocurrencies.
Right.
It could be attracting investors who are looking for,
Like a safe haven?
Yeah, a different kind of opportunity during a really volatile time.
Okay, so it's almost like
Yeah,
its own separate current running alongside the main crypto flow.
that's a good way to put it.
Okay, I like that. All right, so shifting gears just a little bit here.
Yeah.
We also saw this week that 21 shares filed for an XRP ETF with the US SEC.
Yes, they did.
So can you just remind our listeners what an ETF is?
Of course.
Why this news is making waves,
Okay.
especially for XRP?
So an ETF, which stands for Exchange Traded Fund, it's essentially a way for investors to kind of get into the game without having to directly own the asset itself.
They don't have to buy a ton of XRP.
Exactly. So in this case,
Yeah.
an XRP ETF would allow people to invest in a basket of XRP
Okay.
without directly holding the cryptocurrency.
Gotcha.
And if this ETF gets approved,
Yeah.
it could really open the floodgates.
So, like-
Institutional investors, everyday investors.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
Interesting.
It would make it much easier for them to get exposure to XRP,
Right.
and that could lead to, a surge in its price and
Sure.
legitimacy.
So should our listeners be watching the XRP tides too?
I mean, whether or not you should personally jump on the XRP wave really depends on your own investment strategy and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Right.
But it's certainly a development worth watching.
Okay, so a lot of potential ripples there.
Definitely.
Okay, for our final deep dive this week, let's tackle that bold statement about Bitcoin's future.
All right.
One of our sources this week claimed that Bitcoin is now part of the global financial infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a really big statement.
It is a big statement.
Are we actually there yet? And what does that even mean in practical terms?
It's a strong statement for sure,
Right.
and there's definitely some debate around it.
Okay.
On one hand,
Yeah.
it's true that Bitcoin is gaining some real traction in the mainstream world.
Okay.
I mean, we are seeing countries adopt it as legal tender.
Oh, yeah.
More businesses are accepting it as payment.
Right.
That's definitely a step towards real integration.
Sure.
But then on the flip side,
Yeah.
Bitcoin still faces a lot of challenges.
Like what?
Regulatory hurdles and that persistent volatility that we were talking about.
Yeah. That seems to never go away.
It's always going to be there, so the reality is probably somewhere in between.
Okay.
Think of global financial infrastructure, like this complex network of systems.
Okay.
So things like SWIFT,
Okay.
which is the network that banks use for international transfers.
Hmm.
That's part of that infrastructure.
Okay.
And so Bitcoin is kind of weaving itself into that network.
Right.
But whether it's truly like a core strand,
Right.
that's still unfolding.
Yeah, it's like we're watching this new current emerge,
Right.
but we don't really know where it's going to flow next.
Exactly.
So after swimming through all of this Web3 news this week,
Yeah.
what's your big takeaway?
Mm.
Is crypto on shaky ground, or is this just like the normal ebb and flow of a growing market?
I think that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
I think this week's news really just highlights,
Yeah.
the incredible dynamism of the crypto world. You see the volatility,
Yeah.
the growing pains,
Hmm.
but also this incredible potential.
Yeah, I see it.
I think what I find really fascinating is how these internal crypto factors,
Like what?
like those whale moves we talked about,
Right.
are interacting with these external forces,
Okay.
like global events and regulations.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that crypto's not an island.
No.
It's intrinsically connected to the larger financial and geopolitical landscape.
It really is. It's like we can't separate them anymore.
Nope.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
Totally.
Well, you have given us a lot to think about this week. Those currents are definitely swirling.
Yeah.
So until next time,
Yes.
keep exploring the depths of Web3.
Please.
And ask yourself this.
Okay.
As crypto integrates with traditional finance, what does that actually mean
Yeah.
for the future of financial control?
Ooh.
The answer might surprise you.
It might.
Okay. See you next time.
See ya.